Welcome to episode 2 of this mammoth quest, where in this 140 place journey, we've arrived here, Madrid. So we're now in Paris, and our travels now take us to our last stop in France. Welcome as we embark on a journey across the world following the history of Mercedes-Benz. Let's go check out some of the Mercedes history. We're going to start off with this. No ordinary S-Class, for this was the first S-Class, but this is the one with the 6.9 litre V8, a mega wafter. It came with air suspension, and it was the first car ever to come with ABS. But even cooler is this, the 300S. S standard for super, because this was the ultimate super luxurious, speedy wafter. And there you have it. This lot have been restoring the Mercedeses of Spain for more than 30 years, where a car with nothing more than a chassis and a few nuts and bolts will come in and they'll absolutely restore it to something that looks like this, cut to something that looks beautiful and nice. What we're gonna go and look at now is the OG S-Class. Welcome to the clean, sorry guys, this is called the clean room, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Welcome to the clean room, and say hello to the 300 SEL. Wow. So what kinds of people would have owned this back in the 50s?
Well, imagine that after the war, this is the most luxury and special car that was in the list of the Mercedes cars for sale. And you can see the detail of the quality of everything that's inside. This was almost the most expensive car that the 300 going. You can imagine, because this magnificent, good dashboard, and the interior is plenty of leather and chrome details. When you drive it, you feel the experience of driving this car. It's amazing. It was made in the 50s. It's a super quality in terms of driving and comfort.
Thank you so much for showing
My
us
pleasure.
around your
Thank
place.
you for coming.
Absolutely spectacular. Now it's time to head to Vitoria, Pretoria, as we hit the road for the rest of this journey. And this is the real pronunciation, Vitoria-Gasteiz. So we've actually just been told that even what I just said is wrong. It's actually Vitoria-Gasteiz. Good afternoon from Mercedes-Benz's second largest van factory in Europe, Vitoria-Gasteiz, where it employs up to 4,800 people. And we're now going to go check out the camouflaged Mercedes-Benz. Underneath this secretive Christmas paper wrapping is the new VLE. With its modular scalable architecture that will allow a clear definition between the family-friendly VLE and the very bougie VLS. So taking a little break here in San Sebastian, where we're here to try the famous cheesecake. But first, let's check out this E320 in a very rare color. The owner over there, his name is Manuel. He's restored it all by himself with his Mandem, and it's very, very clean. We're now back on the road with Baguette, because we're now in France on a very special route from Bordeaux to Paris, and following in the footsteps of the world's very first motor race in 1895. Story goes like this. The winner, Mr. Emile Levasseur, drove his Daimler-powered car for over 48 hours and 48 minutes to become the winner. But that win was swiftly taken away from him because his car had only 2 seats, like a sports car, but the regulations said your car had to have 4. However, the outcry was so huge, everyone thought this was ridiculous, that the governing body actually changed the rules after this. But this race wasn't just a race, it was actually the turning point where a car went from just a car and a novelty to being the future of long distance travel, which I'm currently sat in. It has ventilated seats and an MBUX entertainment system. And you now join us in Paris, specifically Porte-Malou, which was actually the scene of the world's first ever automotive race. Heading from here in Paris to Rouen, it took about 78 kilometers, and it wasn't a race for speed, it was a race for endurance, to test if these cars could really go the real mile. And would you just look at that? Carl and Bertha have joined us as we head to explore Paris and then on to Rouen. And our travels now take us to our last stop in France, Reims, specifically the location of the 1954 Grand Prix of France, where there's a very special story to be told. Back in 1954, the legend Juan Manuel Fangio drove his F1 car, the W196R Mercedes-Benz, to victory here. Not just that, also in second place was the same car too. And this was a monumentous moment for Mercedes-Benz as a brand. It put them at the top of the automotive hierarchy back in the day. And I can't quite believe this, but Mercedes-Benz have actually spawned in a real R196R for us to go and check out. Bear in mind, the last one of these sold at auction for $50 million. I give you this, the W196R, which is actually an F1 car. So what was it that made this car come first and second here in 1954? Well, it had an aluminum body, a straight A engine, 2.5 litres, and it could reach 186 miles an hour. And on top of all of that, it also had a chic tartan interior.
140 years of innovation to be celebrated tonight here in Brussels at the Motor Show. Great place to be. Behind me there is a gull wing, a great example for what we believe is innovation.
Welcome to Brussels and a lovely estate W111 Mercedes, because we are here at Autoworld for a very fun evening of Mercedes shenanigans. Let's head inside. And here we are, we've got lots of cool people with lots of cool drinks and even more cool cars. Let's go check them out. And as soon as you enter, you're met with a lovely 300 SL. You're met with this, I cannot imagine how expensive this may be, but it's a compressor. It's a 540, yes. This is a pre-war car, absolutely deliciously elegant in Harrods green. Lovely. Look at this in all its divinity. Only 502 of these were ever made. Delicious check interior. This is the Evo 2. The Evo 1 is a little bit less swaggy. It doesn't have the cool kit on it. If you sneak away, you'll find this, the Red Pig, also known as the Kurtesau. Back before AMG was part of Mercedes like we know it, it was just a small little brand who did their own thing. They grabbed cars like this and modified them heavily. They even did other car brands. This was their first car that they ever put into any serious races. Came with the 6.9 litre V8 and it came with track suspension and these lovely wide arches. And it essentially put AMG on the map forever. And immediately, I see some favorites of mine. Like this, the W140 S-Class from the 90s. They put so much money into this car that it had to be quite expensive. It's an amazing car, and this one had a V12 swapped into it. Lots of S-Classes, but over here, transition. We've got a nice streak of SLs. This is the kind of mid-2000s Z1. This is the mid-90s Z1. But this is the R129 from the mid-70s all the way to the late 80s. And this one has the most beautiful interior to exterior combo I think I've ever seen. Look at that. And now time to go from these quite attainable cars to the absolute opposite. Because say hello to the Mercedes C111, which came with a Wankel engine, producing 350 brake horsepower. They never actually released this supercar, but its DNA dribbled into this, the Mercedes SLR McLaren. This one being the 722, which is the extra juicy version. And over here, the final iteration of the kind of McLaren series, McLaren SLR, Sterling Moss. Even more limited, even lighter than that thing. So a little bit faster and extremely limited too. Standing behind this, CLK GTR. Basically a race car for the road. Essentially a lot of the parts in this came from the race car itself, which actually did really well in competition too.
We make sure that our employees are engaged with the brand. And not only like that, they can also spread the love and passion they have for the brand towards our customers.
The most useful habit for me is like getting feedback, and even if it's negative, and turn it into something positive so I can work with it and improve myself.
Being open with each other as colleagues, and also, you know, we are in an organization with many different departments, so this exchange culture, being open with each other, I think is the most important skill that we developed, you know?
I mean, it was an amazing journey, and now it's time to relax and save some energy for the next stops.
We started in Stuttgart and we will end in Stuttgart, so in 9 months' time we'll actually come back home to Stuttgart, and it's going to be, let's say, the whole journey and all the stories that have been on the different continents that in the end make the big story. Every single continent or every single stop has an interesting story, but to put then the 140 stories together, that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Du bist halt auch Medienexperte, bis zum geht nicht mehr.
I now hand you to my South American correspondent, who's been Callum's cars with Mercedes. Thanks for watching.
I'm a travel photographer with a bit of an addiction to stunning views.
I'm very excited. Let's get into it.